Welcome back to Top Voices of Influence, Women in Alignment Edition. I am Chris Madrigal, your host, and here with our final guest of the day. Now, this woman has built a community of over 1.5 million women, produced one of the largest virtual events, empowerment women events, let's say, and had over 23,000 attendees, over 100 speakers, and she's made it her life's work to help women step into their power, build influence, and create financial freedom. She's also the co-founder of the Million Dollar Network. So please help me welcome Wendy Aimee Porter.
Aw, thank you. Thank you for that intro. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. So you have built multiple brands and created a large community
Yes.
with Crowned for Success and Boss Ladies Mindset. And these aren't just brand names. It feels like there is more behind just the brand. It's more like a belief system. So, where did that begin for you?
Well, I started with Crown for Success, and I was in corporate America for 18 years, running, building, and operating multi-million dollar businesses, making somebody else very rich. And so I decided when I was going through cancer, and I had my children were small. I have three kids. They were small at the time, and I really wanted to spend more time with them. And I went through this soul searching phase of my life. Think back in 2015 and thought, you know what, there's got to be more to life than just clocking in, clocking out, working 10, 12 hours a day, and then barely being able to see my kids. I literally would see them at the end of the evening when I'd tuck them into bed. So through that soul searching phase, when I went through cancer, I was home for about 4.5 months, going through two different surgeries and radiation therapy. And I read a book called Crazy Sexy Cancer Survivor by Chris Carr. And she was best friends with Marie Forleo. And I don't know if you remember Marie Forleo,
Mhm.
but she's was the creator of B School back then. And it was like one of the very first online business schools for women, where like back then, owning an online business was like taboo, right? It wasn't something that you did. Like anybody who owned an online business back then, you were like a scammer, right? So, according to everybody else. And so she was one of the few people doing it. And it was through Chris Carr when I read that book when I was going through cancer that I found Marie Forleo and decided during those 4.5 months that I would take B School and just see what it was about. Because again, I wanted to figure out how to stay at home with my kids more, how to have more, freedom in my life because I was working 10, 12 hours a day. And so through B School, after taking that, like I said, I was just going through this soul searching phase. I was reading Marianne Williamson's books at the time as well, and came up with the idea of Crown for Success. Um, and that would be my first company. So was my first brand, my first company that I created. And it really came out of finding like hope in a dark place
Mm.
and also like wanting to again try to create a lifestyle that worked more for me instead of against me.
Yeah.
And so Crown for Success seems so fitting. And I was actually one of the first person on social media back in 2015 that was doing queen everything. So everything was a queen, like because of Marianne Williamson's book, A Return to Love. She talks about that. And then also A Woman's Worth. She talks about being a queen. And so I brought that, obviously, Marianne Williamson thought of it back I think those books were like in the 80s. And I brought it back into my brand. And so everything was queen, everything crowns, everything. And it just took off. It like went like wildfire. Like before I knew it, I had 10,000 followers. And then it was 50,000 followers. And it was over 100,000 followers. And it just became this viral sensation on Instagram because I was like, speaking my truth and standing in the queen that you are and empowering other women to also do that too. And that's kind of how Crown for Success was born.
I love it.
Yeah. And then I built additional brands since then. Boss Ladies Mindset was my next one. And that one was really kind of a spin-off of Boss Babe. Everybody's familiar with Boss Babe. I actually worked with them back in 2017, 2018, 2019. So in 2019, I was like, I want to do kind of something similar as like the Boss Babe brand, but I wanted it to be more for women, more ethnic women, women of color, women diversity. So that's when I created Boss Ladies Mindset. And so then that took off even bigger than Crown for Success. And that Instagram account really became, I mean, kind of like the minority of Boss Babe, right? So for women of color. And that's Boss Ladies Mindset. And that page had over 1 million followers at its biggest. And then came years later where now I was, I think I was in my 40s when I started those. And now I'm in my 50s and I wanted to do something a little bit more grown up. So I want to do something a little bit more grown up. And I went through a divorce. It was a very like ugly divorce. I was married for 23 years in a pretty toxic relationship. And I wanted to really teach women how to find their voice because I feel like I silenced my voice quite a bit to make him not feel insecure or to not rock the boat too much. And I wanted to step into my power. I wanted to truly step into my full power. And I was pretty powerful even before that. So when I say step into my power, I meant like next level step into my power. Like understand that you have to have boundaries in your life in order to have self-worth. You have to have high standards in your life in order to have self-worth. You have to use your voice to voice your opinion to have high self-worth. And so it was really like 3 years ago that I was like, my divorce was finalized. Finally, it took a few years to finalize that. And I really just wanted to use my voice as my greatest asset. And I was more kind of behind the scenes of like Boss Ladies Mindset and Crown for Success. And with Top 100 Women in Power, with that brand, I was like, no, I'm going to step into that role of being like the front and center of that brand. Alongside with Elena Cardone, Kathleen Cameron, and some incredible women who also became part of that brand too, Anissa Crespo. And so I just really was trying I don't know, I was like in a place in my life where I felt like I'm done being quiet. Like,
Hmm.
not that I was ever quiet. I mean, let's keep it real. It really wasn't ever quiet. But like, I wanted to really, truly step into my voice and use it as my greatest asset. And it was through Top 100 Women in Power that I held myself accountable because I was like, I'm not just going to do it for other women this time. I'm actually going to do it for myself as well. And that brand just went viral as well because of that. So,
So let's talk a little bit about that
okay.
because it's such an incredible event. You've had, like you said, Elena Cardone, Kathleen Cameron, and brought so many women together.
Right.
So, what made you believe it was possible before you even had proof?
I just believe that I refuse to fail at anything I do because I
Yes.
never really look at failure as failure. I look at it as a learning lesson. And so I think when you go into anything, like even when I was building Crown for Success, I knew back then that number one, there wasn't that many online businesses at the time. But number two, like most businesses would be out of business within a year. That never even crossed my mind that that could be a possibility of happening to me. And it's because I don't believe in failure. And so I just don't believe in that word. I don't believe in it. I believe that failure is not failure. It's just a learning lesson. You just go back to the drawing board and you do something, you try it again. And so it never crossed my mind. I think when you are in that much belief that something cannot fail, it has no choice but to succeed.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for creating those opportunities and also being a part of the co-creation of this entire event as well.
You're welcome. It's been my pleasure. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about influence,
Yeah.
right? Because you have over 1.5 million followers, and that's real influence. And you also tie influence to financial freedom for women.
Hmm.
So, how would you say visibility
Mhm.
and influence are kind of tied together?
Oh, they go together. They like literally go together. Okay. They're married to each other. I think because really influence, you can be influential, but if you don't have the visibility part, how many people are hearing your message, right? So, like, I can be as influential as I want to be and have a big voice, but if I'm not visible, and nobody's hearing that message, then how am I going to be able to change anyone's lives? And I truly believe that God assigns people to you who
Mhm.
you're meant to serve. And so because of that, it's my responsibility to find not only just be influential, but also figure out how to be visible so that my God assigned people can actually find me and my message.
I love that. And I always say, the message that you deliver, the message that I delivered, everyone part of this event is meant to directly touch the life
Yeah,
of others.
absolutely.
And just like I said, when I opened up this event every day, I would say, tune in to what is meant for you. Tune in to the day that is calling you,
Yeah,
you know, whichever one of those pillars it was. And see you, I, and everyone else as the answer to someone else's prayer.
right.
Someone is waiting for you to step into your power
Mhm.
to finally deliver the message that you're here to deliver because that's what they're waiting for.
Right. And if your message is the right message for them at that time, it's going to impact their lives. And it's not always going to be. I mean, it's just like no different when you read a book and you read a book and you get something out of it, but you didn't get the something that that other person got. But then you go
Right.
back and read it a year later and you got a totally different message from it. So when it's meant for you, when that message is meant for you, that's a God assigned message. There's a reason why that message like resonated so deeply with you.
And that's part of why I love this whole event. I love this whole mission and what you and Anis are creating because it allows people to come back and tune in and re-listen because just like you said in terms of reading a book, you can be listening to a podcast and you heard something one day and then you put it back on
Yeah.
and that message just landed for you that day
Yeah.
and it's what you were meant to hear.
And can I just say, Chris, like this is Chris's first virtual event she's ever put on. Like you would never know that unless I just told you that. Like you're an absolute like natural at this. Like a natural at doing this event, a natural at doing this show. You need your own TV show is what you need. So we're gonna talk about that later. We'll talk about that at lunch. But literally, like she's a born natural. Like you're so good. I mean, I would never know that this was your first event ever putting on. And they're not easy. So give Chris a round of applause for that because they are work. They're not easy to put on. And she did it single-handedly. Obviously with our help, but
Right.
definitely really single-handedly. She's just incredible. It's absolutely incredible what you've done.
Thank you. I I'll take that and mm,
Take it and receive that because you did great.
I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
Woo! I didn't expect this, but we're live.
Yeah.
So anything is possible when you're live.
Of
Thank you for that
course.
because
I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You did amazing.
there's so many moments, and I'm sure every single one tuning in, every speaker, you, Laura, Anissa, where there's moments in our lives where you you don't even know what's possible. You don't even know if you're doing a good job, if you're not. And sometimes it's like people are looking for that external validation.
Yeah.
And I remember yesterday, before I jumped on the flight, I told my husband, well, I'm not going to curse, right? But
You can curse. It's
I'm
your
like,
show.
I'm a badass and I'm just going to take that and believe it and let it be.
Yep. And you are a badass. Literally, she's a badass. So if you all are watching, if you get a chance, go congratulate her on the amazing, incredible event she's put on because it is not easy. I've done like this is probably my 10th one doing. And it's like, I remember the first one, it was very, very difficult. And so I know what you're going through, and you crushed it, like literally. You
Well,
did.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And because this is a Women in Alignment event, I have to ask you,
Mhm.
what does alignment look like for you in your life?
Honestly, I don't know that we're ever in alignment. I mean, that's my honest to God truth answer. And I know that's probably not what people want to hear. I believe that there are seasons for everything. There are seasons where you're going to be focused more on the love part. There are seasons you're going to be focused more on the success part. There's seasons where you're going to be focused on the health part. There's seasons where you're going to be focused on like your business or just you or so I don't know that it's ever truly like alignment all the time. I think that we do the best that we can do each day. And I think my alignment really is I just want to make sure every day that I wake up that I'm a better human today than I was yesterday. And that means with my kids, with my family, with my fiance, with and as a business owner, as just as an executive producer, as running this network, I just want to be better than I was yesterday. And to me, if I can do that, just a little bit better than I was yesterday, to me, I'm in alignment.
I love that. I love that because it's so important for people to understand that. And being in alignment for me is just recognizing when you start to drift away
Hmm.
and just bringing yourself back
Yeah.
because you're not always going to be living in alignment. We have good days and bad days, and that's just catch yourself.
Yes.
Catch yourself
Absolutely.
when you're drifting in your thoughts, in the way that you're acting,
Yeah.
and just
Yeah. And I think
bring it
I've
back.
done mindset work for so many years that it's pretty easy for me now to
Hmm.
pull my mind when it goes somewhere negative. Like I do it so naturally now that it's rare that it happens where I'll like sulk into something that spirals out of control. Like the only time I can ever think of really that I did that recently was 3 years ago. My daughter went off to college, and nobody tells you like the grief that you feel when that happens. And I definitely spiraled into like a depression during that time. And wasn't able to pull myself out of it for probably 6 months. It took me about 6 months to pull myself out of it. And but I think the most important thing is even when that happens, anchor in like who you are, anchor in who you are. And if you truly know who you are as a person and as a human, and again, if you're always waking up and you're grateful for what you have, and I still do gratitude journals still to this day. Like I started my mindset work doing gratitude journals, and I continue to do them because I truly believe in the space of gratitude, lack thoughts and lack and loneliness just cannot reside. And so I think that also helps me to be in alignment. There are going to be times where you go through something heavy in life and you go through trauma and it knocks you right off your ass and off of alignment. And that's okay too. I
Yeah,
mean, we have to be okay too. That's okay. We can't be hard on ourselves and beat ourselves up over that. That's got to be okay too to go through something like that and then come out on the other side.
beautiful. Now, what you have built and what you ladies are continuing to build is something that is going to have a ripple effect onto the next generation. So, what is your piece of advice for the women of our next generation?
I mean, the biggest piece of advice that I would have is again, be true to who you are, be authentically you, because there's only one of you in this entire gigantic world. And your God assigned people need to hear your voice and your message. So use your voice as your greatest asset because it truly is.
I love it. Wendy, you didn't just build a brand or multiple brands. You build a movement, and the women that are listening, the women that are part of your world, everybody tuning in is proof that what you have done and continue to do is working.
Mm.
So please
Thank
continue to do that
thank you.
and continue to just shine your light
Thank you.
and impact others.
And you do the same.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, for all of you tuning in, thank you so much for being a part of this experience, for joining us. If this is your first day, If you're just catching us for the first time, don't forget to register. You can still sign up. Go to my social media, Facebook, Instagram, and the link is there. Get access to over 30 incredible speakers that are living in alignment in the areas of health, wealth, love, and personal power. But don't just go in and consume. Take advantage of the incredible gifts that they have available for you because they're there to then help you realign through tools, support, 101 support as well. So take advantage and stay connected with us. Any one of our speakers, everyone that's been with us and this incredible event, please go and follow the person that sent that message that really connected to you. And remember, don't forget that the power you have is all within. Don't look for it anywhere else. You have it all within you. Thank you so much for being a part of this experience. We look forward to seeing you next time.